Our first segment of the day is regarding the White House Correspondents' Dinner and how Joe Biden told a joke that was in reality truth and just making a mockery of the White House press corps. Wait till we get into that. As always, support the show by hitting that like and subscribe button. Leave us a short, sweet comment down below. The question of the day is, do you think journalism has improved under Joe Biden or has just gotten worse? Look forward to reading your responses below. So the White House Correspondents Association held its annual dinner Saturday night, and it's an event that is meant to celebrate the First Amendment and basically gather money or raise money for journalism scholarships. Well, unfortunately for the press corps, its members didn't realize President Joe Biden was laughing at the media, not with it, throughout the evening. He made a joke here, and for those that are listening, at the beginning of the show, I put it in air quotes because it's not really a joke in so much as he's making a mockery of reporters and not answering their question. Let's go ahead and roll it.
In a lot of ways, this dinner sums up my first 2 years in office. I'll talk for 10 minutes, take 0 questions, and cheerfully walk away.
So, in every joke, there is truth. But in this joke, it was just 100% truth, and he's making a mockery of them. So the president, through these dinners, will make jokes. But this president typically will make a number of kind of wisecracks that's meant for good fun, if you know Joe Biden. But the one joke that he just made, that you just heard, is a clear mockery of the reporters who cover the president. And I know some of them. I talk with some of them behind the scenes, and they don't think it's funny. So how did the 2,600 or so in attendance react to all this? Well, as you saw, they all chuckled and clapped and cheered along at the joke. And you don't have to take my word for it. If you listen to senior CNN commentator and former Bush staffer Scott Jennings explains to his colleagues why they should be embarrassed. And we have a clip of that here for you. As always, folks, some of the things take a little while to get up and running here, but nonetheless, we still have it for you. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Biden, the line that will stick with me is, in a lot of ways, this dinner sums up my first 2 years in office. I'll talk for 10 minutes, take 0 questions, and cheerfully walk away. I'm just going to, for the journalist in the room, he wasn't laughing with you. He was laughing at you. I mean, the reality is, I think he's mocking the press. The guy does not take questions, and he's up there joking about it. And and they're clapping and they're laughing about it. And I don't know. I think he owes, I'm pro reporter. And I think the President of the United States ought to have to talk to these reporters and not mock them.
He's not wrong there. And you know, I laugh at everything. I know this show, you don't necessarily get to see the full personality of me. You see more of a side of the political side where I'm frustrated with the Democrats. I'm frustrated with the progressive left. I'm frustrated with our politicians. So it's more of a serious aspect of my personality. But in real life, I laugh at everything, and it's definitely got me in trouble. I do think it's funny, don't get me wrong, but at the same side of it, if you're a reporter that spends every day going into the White House briefing room and not getting answers from Jen Psaki previously, and then Karine Jean-Pierre, you're definitely not getting any of your questions in or answered. I mean, look at Simon, who hasn't got a question in for almost a year, I want to say, at this point. You have Fox News reporter Peter Doocy and Jackie Heinrich going weeks sometimes without a question. And same with our boy Phil Wegman of Real Clear Politics having the same thing. And they'll ask questions and not even get any response. And by the way, she's going to tell us that the president takes reporters' questions. And the only way that he really takes their questions is, one, it's shouted, or two, you have to give them a preemptive question. And then when you give it to him preemptive, the White House is going to say, well, we don't do preemptive questions. Even though a Los Angeles Times reporter that we just covered last week gave him a question ahead of time, they printed out with her face and who she's with in terms of an outlet. Again, that was the Los Angeles Times. And then the next day, when Jackie Heinrich of Fox News asks Karine Jean-Pierre, hey, why does basically the president need a cheat sheet? And how did he get that cheat sheet? She dodges the question and say, this is something they don't do. They don't take pre-vetted questions. You can't make that statement, by the way, when literally there is footage and pictures of him having a predetermined question from a reporter at a press briefing or a press conference with the president of South Korea. You can't say that that's not what you do when in fact you do it, because we just saw it being done. And we've seen it done many of times. So indeed, think of all the alleged scandals that the White House press pool either ignores or covers late in the game. You have the Hunter Biden laptop, you have Russiagate, the real status of the war in Ukraine, Biden's classified documents, which we were lied to. Well, I think we counted almost 5 times in succession by the White House. And what I mean by that, if you recall, we find out that Joe Biden has these classified documents, and Karine Jean-Pierre the day before didn't disclose any of it. So it was ousted by an outlet. And then everybody comes in the White House press briefing room and says, hey, what's going on with these documents? And she doesn't take any questions about it or answer. She doesn't give any answers either. And they go, okay, well, hey, is there any other classified documents we should know about? She basically either doesn't answer it or says no, even though at that present time, she knew that there was already a second set of classified documents that had been found, meaning she knew it and didn't disclose to it, even though the White House is going to say they're the most transparent presidency that's ever existed. So then the next day comes around, and lo and behold, a second set of classified documents comes around. So they all enter the White House press briefing room once again, and you have CNN, Matt Whittingley or whatever his name is. I always screw his last name up, but if CNN goes, hey, what's going on? Why'd you tell us that you didn't know anything about a second set of classified documents? It turns out there is a second set of classified documents. She gives a cockamamie response. As she's giving the cockamamie response, she knows there is a third set of classified documents. So while she's saying she's been being transparent about the first set, she says in real time that she's being transparent about the second set, even though she wasn't. She's already knowing about a third set of classified documents and doesn't disclose it to anybody. So they come back the next day and they're like, what the hell? Why didn't you tell us about this stuff? And it goes on and on. And we've heard rumors and didn't get much news that there was actually a fifth set of classified documents many weeks ago. But they're going to be quick to, jump on Trump and his classified documents and all that such. It's such a debacle that's going on with this White House. The Biden family, another thing that's going on, making money off the family name and the political access they have. They somehow got $3 million from China. Nobody wants to cover that. The weaponization of the Justice Department and many, many more. There's so many things going on of which they can't even get a question in to Joe Biden because, like you heard in the joke, he just runs away. That's all he does. You shout questions, he doesn't answer, and you run away. Although Karine Jean-Pierre, the Democrats, are all going to say that he takes questions all the time. It's insane. They're running the presidency in the same way they ran the campaign. We're going to chauffeur him out for some photos. He's not going to take any questions, and then we'll throw him back in the basement for a bit because he's not all up here. We all know what's going on. And by the way, watching the White House Correspondents Dinner, there is barely a mention of any of it on Saturday night in terms of what I just mentioned. Any of it, except for the MC, the comedian and everything, who actually made fun of the lapdog media for its double standard over President Donald Trump's handling classified documents. That part was there, and it was actually kind of funny, him mentioning it, because everybody knows they really dropped the ball in terms of the double standard of what they're doing here, of covering Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago raid and really taking hold of that, but not really covering Joe Biden's 5-time classified document leakage and just sitting around his Corvette and everything. Well, here's the joke.
I don't know about y'all, but for me, the easiest scandal to follow was the Trump document scandal. That was the one that was easy to follow. It was simple. There's some stuff that's supposed to be in the White House that ain't. And the media, y'all did y'all's job. Y'all jumped on that story. As soon as the Trump document story broke, everybody was down at Mar-a-Lago. We're reporting live from the documents, and we're gonna find them. And then we found out Joe Biden had documents too, and it was like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Everybody got documents. Everybody got documents. Mike Pence has some documents. Who care about it? Oh, look, a Chinese spy balloon. Would you look at that? Ooh. Well done, media.
Again, it's a lot of this, they're jokes, but a joke is supposed to be part truth and kind of, part make-believe. These are just, they're all facts. And that's why we've done conversations, or have had conversations, we've done shorts here on YouTube saying, when it's satire no longer satire anymore, just because it's just truth now. Of you have this classified document scandal with Donald Trump, everybody's making a whole hubbub about it. And then you have Joe Biden, what we know of 4 times, possibly 5 times, having classified documents for decades laying around, by the way. Hell, when he went to Ireland, literally documents were falling on the street and people were picking them up. That sounds like an actual joke that you would make, but that happened too. So they're not going to cover it in the same way. We all know this is going on. It's happening. There are reporters that I do trust in that room 100%. A lot of them, I would say about half of them, do a fabulous job of trying to get their questions in, but they're fighting this this White House, and they should be making more of a big deal over it, especially when the president mocks you. You got to be pissed, and you got to come in this coming week here and really laying down the law as a group together and going, this is BS. We don't like it. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Are you for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, or do you think it's just grandstanding, an opportunity for people to spend money and just kind of, have a little bit of foo-foo time, very similar to the Oscars or SAG Awards, where it's just a bunch of diversity quotas that they got to check off? Let me know what you think about, again, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Would love to hear from you.
I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.